On a crisp October morning in 2003, in the small farming community of Delphi, Indiana, 7-year-old Emma Grace Holloway vanished from her own backyard. The swing still moved gently in the breeze. Her pink bicycle lay on its side in the grass, one wheel still spinning. A half-eaten popsicle melted into a purple puddle on the wooden deck. Her mother had stepped inside for less than 3 minutes to answer the telephone. When she returned, Emma was gone. The search that followed would consume the town, tear apart a family, and remain unsolved for nearly 2 decades. But the person responsible had been there all along, hiding in plain sight, waiting at the dinner table every single night. Who takes a child from her own yard in broad daylight, and how did they vanish without a single witness in a neighborhood where everyone knew everyone else's business? Delphi, Indiana, population 2,893, sits in Carroll County, where the flat farmland of the Midwest stretches endlessly in every direction. In October 2003, the corn had been harvested, leaving stubbled fields that turned golden under the afternoon sun. Main Street consisted of a single stoplight, a grain elevator visible for miles, and a diner where the same families had gathered for Sunday breakfast since the 1950s. The Holloway family had lived on Maple Drive for 6 years in a modest ranch-style home with white siding and black shutters. The neighborhood consisted of 12 houses spread along a half-mile gravel road. Everyone knew everyone. Children rode bikes freely between houses.
Jennifer Holloway, 29 years old, worked part-time at the county library. Her husband, Michael Holloway, 32, managed the local hardware store his father had owned before him. They had 2 daughters, Emma Grace, 7, and Lily, 4. Jennifer kept a meticulous schedule. Weekends followed patterns. Saturday mornings meant pancakes. Sunday afternoons, Michael worked in the garage while Jennifer gardened. October 11, 2003, was a Saturday. The temperature reached 62 degrees by 10 in the morning. Jennifer had planned to rake leaves that afternoon. She made pancakes as usual. Emma wore her favorite purple sweatshirt with a white kitten on the front. Lily spilled syrup on her shirt and had to change. Michael ate quickly and went to the garage to work on rebuilding a carburetor. The girls asked to play outside. At 11:17, the phone rang inside the house. Jennifer had been watching the girls from the kitchen window while washing dishes. Emma pushed Lily on the swing set Michael had built 2 summers earlier. The wooden structure sat in the far corner of the backyard, about 50 feet from the house, partially obscured by a large oak tree. Jennifer dried her hands and answered the phone. It was her sister, calling from Indianapolis to confirm Thanksgiving plans. They talked for approximately 2 minutes and 45 seconds, according to phone records later obtained by investigators. When Jennifer hung up and returned to the window, she saw Lily sitting alone on the swing, her small legs dangling, not moving. The yard was empty otherwise. Jennifer felt the first flutter of concern but told herself Emma had simply gone around front. She walked outside, calling her daughter's name. Lily looked up with wide eyes and said, "Emmy went with Daddy." Jennifer's heart began to beat faster. She walked to the garage. Michael was bent over the workbench, covered in grease. He looked up, confused. "What do you mean? Emma's with you." The confusion lasted perhaps 3 seconds before it transformed into something else entirely. Jennifer ran back outside, now shouting Emma's name. They searched the property. The backyard, the front yard, the small tool shed. They checked the treehouse, though Emma rarely climbed it alone. Jennifer ran to the nearest neighbor's house. No, they hadn't seen Emma. Michael drove his truck slowly along Maple Drive, calling his daughter's name. Other neighbors emerged from their homes. At 11:42, 25 minutes after Jennifer had answered the phone, Michael dialed 911. His voice, recorded and later played during the investigation, remained remarkably steady. "My daughter is missing. She was in our backyard and now she's gone. She's 7 years old. She was wearing a purple sweatshirt." The dispatcher asked, "How long has she been missing, sir?" "About 25 minutes. We've searched everywhere." "Is it possible she walked to a friend's house?" No, she wouldn't do that. Something's wrong." Deputies from the Carroll County Sheriff's Department arrived at 12:03. Deputy Frank Morrison, a 20-year veteran, took the initial report. He noted in his report that both parents appeared genuinely distressed. Jennifer was crying. Michael paced continuously, running his hands through his hair. Little Lily sat on the front steps, holding a stuffed rabbit, rocking slightly. Deputy Morrison asked to see the backyard. The swing still moved slightly in the breeze, pushed by wind or momentum from earlier. The bicycle lay on its side. The popsicle had melted completely, leaving a sticky purple stain on the deck boards. "Tell me exactly what happened," Morrison said, pulling out his notebook. Jennifer explained about the phone call, the 2 minutes and 45 seconds, returning to find Emma gone. Morrison wrote down the timeline. He asked Lily what she meant when she said Emmy went with Daddy. The 4-year-old looked confused, frightened by all the attention. "She went with Daddy," she repeated softly. "You saw Daddy come get Emma?" Morrison asked gently. Lily shook her head. "Emmy said Daddy wanted her." Morrison glanced at Michael, then back at the child. "Did you see who Emma went with, sweetheart?" "No, I was swinging. Emmy said she had to go with Daddy and she walked away." Morrison walked the perimeter of the yard. The property backed up to a cornfield, recently harvested. Beyond that, another farmhouse sat a half-mile away. No fence separated the properties. A child could easily walk into that field, or someone could have walked out of it, taken a child, and disappeared back into it. He radioed for additional units and requested search dogs. By 1:30, 12 deputies and 30 volunteers were searching. They walked through the corn stubble in lines, arms spread, eyes scanning the ground. Search dogs arrived from the state police at 2:15. The dogs picked up Emma's scent from her bedroom, tracked it to the backyard, circled the swing set 3 times, then lost it near the edge of the property where the yard met the field. The handler, a woman named Sarah Chen with 15 years of experience, found this unusual. "The scent just stops," she told Morrison, "like she was picked up and carried or put in a vehicle." But no vehicle had been seen. No one on Maple Drive reported seeing any cars that morning except those belonging to residents. The Hendersons had been home all morning. The Clarks across the street had been home. The Wilsons, the Reeds, the Johnsons, all home, all seeing nothing unusual. It was as if Emma had simply dissolved into the October air. As the afternoon wore on, more volunteers arrived. By 4 o'clock, over 100 people searched the surrounding area. They checked barns, sheds, abandoned houses within a 5-mile radius. They dragged the small creek that ran through the Johnson property 2 miles away. Local news crews arrived from Lafayette and Indianapolis. Jennifer gave a tearful statement to the cameras at 5:30, begging whoever had Emma to bring her home. Michael stood beside her, his arm around her shoulders, his face pale and blank. The sheriff, Robert Hendricks, called in additional resources. The Indiana State Police sent investigators. The FBI was notified, though no evidence yet suggested the child had been taken across state lines. An Amber Alert was issued at 6:45, though the description was limited. 7-year-old female, blonde hair, blue eyes, 4 feet tall, approximately 50 pounds. Last seen wearing a purple sweatshirt with a white kitten, blue jeans, white sneakers. As darkness fell, the temperature dropped to 48 degrees. Portable lights were set up around the Holloway property. The search continued through the night, though hope was fading with the light. Those who have ever watched the sun set while a child remains missing understand the particular dread that comes with darkness. Every hour that passes decreases the likelihood of a safe return. Everyone involved knew this, though no one said it aloud. Jennifer refused to leave the backyard. She sat on the deck steps, wrapped in a blanket, staring at the swing set. Michael brought her coffee that grew cold in her hands. Lily slept inside on the couch, watched over by Jennifer's mother who had driven up from Indianapolis. Neighbors brought food that no one ate. The kitchen counter filled with casseroles and sandwiches and cookies that would eventually be thrown away. At some point near midnight, Deputy Morrison noticed Michael standing alone near the garage, smoking a cigarette. Morrison didn't know Michael smoked. He filed this observation away, a small detail that meant nothing yet. Part 2. The investigation. By dawn on Sunday, October 12th, the search had expanded to a 10-mile radius. Over 300 volunteers walked through fields, woods, and ditches. Helicopters with thermal imaging cameras flew grid patterns overhead. Most believed Emma would be found on land if she was found at all. Sheriff Hendricks established a command center in the Delphi Community Center. Maps covered the walls, marked with colored pins indicating areas already searched. Volunteers checked in, were assigned sectors, and reported back. This was a small town. Emma was one of their own. Investigators began conducting formal interviews. Jennifer recounted her story multiple times, the details never varying. The phone call from her sister, 2 minutes and 45 seconds, the empty yard. Her sister confirmed the time and duration of the call. Deputy Morrison noted that Jennifer's distress seemed genuine and consistent. She answered every question directly. She provided access to the house, to Emma's room, to family photo albums. She volunteered for a polygraph examination, which she passed. Michael's interviews were similar but different in subtle ways. He described working in the garage, hearing Jennifer calling, running outside. He had not heard or seen anything unusual. He answered questions calmly, almost too calmly, some investigators thought. He agreed to a polygraph examination but seemed less eager than his wife. The results were inconclusive. Those who knew Michael said he had always been quiet, reserved, not particularly emotional. He had grown up in Delphi, attended the local high school, took over his father's hardware store. Everyone described him as reliable, hardworking, a good husband and father. No one had ever seen him lose his temper. On Monday, investigators began examining the possibility that Emma had been taken by someone she knew and trusted. They compiled lists of everyone with regular contact with the child: teachers, coach of the soccer team, parents of her classmates. Everyone was interviewed. Everyone cooperated. No one raised suspicions. Physical evidence was minimal. No footprints in the yard beyond those of family members and first responders. No tire tracks. No torn clothing. No signs of struggle. The toys were photographed and examined. Nothing. By Tuesday, the investigation expanded to review registered offenders in the region. Each was located and interviewed. Each provided alibis that checked out. Surveillance footage from gas stations and convenience stores was reviewed. Nothing unusual appeared. Investigators noted one small inconsistency. Michael's truck showed an odometer reading that had increased 47 miles in 3 days. Michael explained he had driven around searching. The mileage seemed reasonable. Still, investigators made note of it. Another detail. Michael's clothes from Saturday, the ones he had worn while working in the garage, were already washed. Jennifer explained she had done laundry Sunday evening, trying to keep busy, trying to do something normal while she waited for news. The clothes had been covered in grease and oil. She always washed Michael's work clothes separately and immediately. This made sense. Still, investigators noted it. The community response was overwhelming. Vigils were held at the local church. Volunteers continued searching even as hope dimmed. Flyers with Emma's picture appeared everywhere. The local newspaper ran her photo on the front page every day for a week. Jennifer appeared on local television multiple times, pleading for information. Michael appeared less frequently, claiming he needed to stay home, take care of Lily, coordinate with the search teams. When he did appear, he spoke quietly and briefly, his face showing little emotion. Some people found this suspicious. Others said it was just his way. 2 weeks after Emma's disappearance, the intensive ground search was scaled back. Over 800 volunteers had walked thousands of acres. Every building within 15 miles had been checked. State police helicopters had flown countless hours. Nothing. Sheriff Hendricks announced that the investigation would continue, but the large-scale search would be suspended. Emma's case remained a priority. Tips continued to come in. Most led nowhere. Investigators continued working the case, but without new leads, progress stalled. They reviewed everything repeatedly. Phone records, financial records. Nothing pointed in any clear direction. Deputy Morrison, now the lead investigator, spent hours reviewing the timeline. 2 minutes and 45 seconds. A child vanishes. How? 6 months after Emma's disappearance, the case was officially classified as cold. Active investigation continued, but resources were limited. Morrison kept the file on his desk. He reviewed it weekly, looking for something he had missed. The swing set in the Holloway backyard remained unused. Part 3: The Silence. Spring came to Delphi in 2004, bringing green to the fields and warmth to the air. The Holloway family remained in their house on Maple Drive, though neighbors said the atmosphere had changed completely. The yard, once filled with the sounds of children playing, stayed quiet. Lily, now 5, played mostly indoors quietly. Jennifer had completely stopped gardening. The flower beds grew wild with weeds. In July 2004, 9 months after Emma's disappearance, Jennifer and Michael attended a marriage counseling session with their pastor. Their pastor, Reverend Thomas Miller, later noted in a statement to investigators that the couple was struggling deeply with communication and grief. Jennifer had become withdrawn, barely speaking. Michael seemed frustrated by her grief, wanting her to move forward. "I'm trying to keep this family together," Michael had said during one session. "But she won't let go." Jennifer's mother, Patricia Brennan, visited frequently from Indianapolis. She noticed things, small things. The way Michael seemed irritated when Jennifer cried. The way he never mentioned Emma unless Jennifer brought her up first. The way he had begun sleeping in the guest room, claiming Jennifer's nightmares kept him awake. Patricia said nothing at first. Who was she to judge how a man processed grief? But the small things accumulated. In September 2004, Patricia was visiting for the weekend. She was putting Lily to bed when the child said something strange. "Mommy cries all the time because of what Daddy did." Patricia froze. She asked gently what Lily meant. The girl shrugged and said she didn't know. She had just heard Mommy say it to Grandma on the phone. Patricia confronted Jennifer the next morning. Had Jennifer accused Michael? Did she suspect him? Jennifer's face crumpled. She admitted that dark thoughts had been creeping in, thoughts she couldn't control, thoughts that made her feel guilty and horrible. What if Michael had done something? What if the answers had been there all along, sitting across from her at breakfast, sleeping in the next room? "He hasn't been the same since it happened," Jennifer whispered. "He's cold, distant. Sometimes I catch him looking at me like he's angry I'm still grieving. What kind of father doesn't grieve?" Patricia asked if Jennifer had spoken to the investigators about this. Jennifer shook her head. "I have no proof. Nothing, just a feeling, just the way he's acting. But feelings aren't evidence. And if I'm wrong, I've destroyed my marriage and accused my husband of something unspeakable. For those who have ever doubted someone you love, truly doubted them in the deepest part of your soul, you understand the particular torture Jennifer was experiencing. To live with someone, to share meals and space and a child with them, while wondering if they had taken your daughter, if they knew what happened, if they were capable of such a thing. The doubt becomes a poison, seeping into every interaction, every conversation, every moment. Lily had begun having nightmares. She would wake screaming, calling for Emma. Jennifer would rush to her room and find her trembling, crying, saying she had seen Emmy in a dark place. Child psychologists explained this was normal for a child who had experienced trauma and loss. The mind created images to process what it couldn't understand. But Jennifer noticed that Lily's nightmares seemed worse after spending time with Michael. In November 2004, 13 months after Emma's disappearance, Jennifer found drawings in Lily's room. Crayon pictures showing two stick figures, one large and one small. In one drawing, the larger figure held the smaller figure's hand. They appeared to be walking toward what might have been trees or perhaps just scribbles. In another drawing, the smaller figure was alone, surrounded by dark scribbles. At the bottom, in a child's uncertain handwriting, Lily had written Emmy and Daddy. Jennifer brought the drawings to Patricia. They looked at them together in the kitchen, hands shaking. "You need to show these to the police," Patricia said. "She's 5 years old," Jennifer replied. "She doesn't remember that day clearly. She's probably just processing her memories or her fears. Or she's remembering something she saw." Jennifer called Deputy Morrison the next day. She explained about the drawings, about her concerns, about Michael's strange behavior. Morrison listened carefully. He asked if he could come by and speak with Jennifer privately. She agreed. They met at a coffee shop in Lafayette, 20 miles away, where they were unlikely to be recognized. Morrison had never stopped thinking about Emma's case. He had reviewed it hundreds of times. The lack of evidence had always bothered him. Most crimes leave traces. Whoever took Emma had left nothing. That suggested either incredible luck or intimate knowledge of the family, the property, and the investigation process. Someone who knew to be careful. Someone who understood what investigators would look for. He asked Jennifer about the days following Emma's disappearance. Had Michael done anything unusual? She mentioned the laundry, the clothes washed immediately. Morrison already knew this. She mentioned that Michael had cleaned his truck the Sunday after Emma vanished, vacuuming it thoroughly. This was new information. Why clean your truck when your daughter is missing? Morrison asked about Michael's relationship with Emma. Had he been a good father? Jennifer paused. He was fine, not warm exactly, not like he is with Lily. Emma always seemed to try harder to get his attention. She would draw pictures for him and he would glance at them and say nice and go back to what he was doing. I thought he was just not a demonstrative person. And with Lily, different, more patient, more affectionate. I noticed it but didn't think much of it. Some parents bond differently with different children. Morrison made notes. He asked if he could speak with Lily again with Jennifer present. Jennifer agreed. They scheduled it for the following week. The interview took place at the sheriff's department, in a room designed to be non-threatening for children. Colorful walls, toys, comfortable chairs. Morrison had brought in a specialist in interviewing young witnesses, a woman named Dr. Rebecca Shaw, who had worked on dozens of cases involving children. Dr. Shaw asked Lily to tell her about the day Emmy went away. Lily said she and Emmy were playing on the swings. Mommy was inside. Emmy was pushing her. Then Emmy stopped and said she had to go with Daddy. Dr. Shaw asked if Lily saw Daddy. Lily said no, she was swinging and looking at the sky. When she stopped and looked around, Emmy was walking toward the field. "Was she alone?" Dr. Shaw asked. Lily nodded. "You said she went with Daddy. Did you see Daddy?" "No, Emmy said she had to go with Daddy." "Did Emmy seem scared?" Lily thought about this. "No, just like she had to go." Dr. Shaw showed Lily the drawings Jennifer had provided. "Can you tell me about these pictures?" Lily pointed to the one with the two figures holding hands. "That's Emmy and Daddy going to the field." "How do you know it's Daddy?" "Because Emmy said Daddy wanted her." It was circular logic, a child processing information she didn't fully understand. But Morrison noticed something. In the drawing, the larger figure wore what appeared to be dark pants and a dark shirt. Michael had been wearing dark jeans and a dark blue t-shirt under his work shirt that day. In her statement, Jennifer had mentioned this detail without realizing its significance. Morrison requested permission to search the Holloway property again, specifically Michael's garage and truck. Jennifer gave permission immediately. Michael, when contacted, hesitated. "Why now?" he asked. "It's been over a year. What could possibly be there?" "Probably nothing," Morrison admitted. "But we're reviewing everything. We owe it to Emma." Michael agreed, though Morrison noted his reluctance. The search was conducted on December 3, 2004. Crime scene technicians went through the garage methodically. They examined tools. They checked the truck again, this time with luminol, looking for any trace of blood. They found nothing. The garage and truck were clean, almost obsessively so. Jennifer and Michael's marriage continued deteriorating through the winter. They barely spoke except about logistics. Who would pick up Lily? What time dinner would be? Bills that needed paying. Michael started staying later at the hardware store. Jennifer signed up for extra shifts at the library. They were avoiding each other, living separate lives under one roof. In February 2005, 16 months after Emma's disappearance, Jennifer asked Michael for a separation. She couldn't do it anymore, she told him. She couldn't live with the silence, the questions, the way he looked at her like she was the problem. Michael agreed without argument. He moved out that weekend, renting a small apartment above the hardware store. Lily stayed with Jennifer in the house. Those who knew the family said the separation was inevitable. Some blamed Jennifer for giving up. Others understood that living in that house with Emma's empty room down the hall had become unbearable. No one blamed Michael openly. After all, what proof was there? Just feelings, just doubts, just small details that might mean nothing. But Jennifer couldn't shake the feeling. It lived in her chest, a weight that grew heavier each day. She started writing down everything she remembered about that day, about the weeks after, about Michael's behavior. The clean truck, the washed clothes, the lack of emotion. The way he had seemed almost relieved when the intensive search ended. The fact that he never went into Emma's room anymore. Small details, circumstantial at best, but they kept her awake at night. Part 4, The Revelation. In August 2007, nearly 4 years after Emma's disappearance, Lily was 8 years old. She was seeing a therapist, Dr. Margaret Chen, to help process her trauma and the divorce of her parents. During a session on August 14th, Dr. Chen was working with Lily on a technique involving drawing out memories and feelings. Lily drew a picture of her old backyard, the swing set, the field beyond. "Tell me about this place," Dr. Chen said gently. "This is where Emmy went away," Lily replied. They had discussed this many times before. Dr. Chen thought they had processed most of Lily's memories and fears, but something about this session felt different. Lily seemed to be on the edge of saying something new. "What do you remember about that day?" Dr. Chen asked. Lily was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "I wasn't supposed to tell." Dr. Chen's heart rate increased, but she kept her voice calm. "Who told you not to tell?" "Daddy, he said if I told, Mommy would be sad forever." "What weren't you supposed to tell, Lily?" Tears began running down the child's face. "I saw Daddy take Emmy. I was on the swing and I saw him come out of the garage. He talked to Emmy and she went with him. They walked into the field. I kept swinging because I thought they would come back, but they didn't. Just Daddy came back. And he told me that if anyone asked, I should say Emmy said Daddy wanted her, but I didn't see anything. He said Emmy went to live somewhere else and we couldn't talk about it or Mommy would cry all the time." Dr. Chen asked Lily to repeat what she had just said. Lily did, the details consistent. Dr. Chen then asked if Lily understood that she needed to share this with people who could help find Emmy. Lily nodded, still crying. Following mandatory reporting protocols, Dr. Chen immediately contacted the Carroll County Sheriff's Department. She spoke with Deputy Morrison, who was now Detective Morrison, having been promoted 2 years earlier while continuing to work Emma's case whenever possible. Morrison drove to the therapist's office within 20 minutes. With Dr. Chen and Jennifer present, Lily repeated her statement. She said she had been too scared to tell before. Daddy had made her promise. She thought if she told, something bad would happen to Mommy. But now Daddy didn't live with them anymore, and she wanted Emmy to come home. Morrison asked detailed questions, careful not to lead the child. The timeline Lily described matched the known facts. Michael had indeed come from the garage. He had been wearing dark clothes. Lily described him kneeling down to talk to Emma, then the two of them walking toward the cornfield. Lily estimated she had stayed on the swing for a really long time before Michael came back alone. "What did Daddy say when he came back?" Morrison asked. "He said Emmy had to go away for a while. He said if anyone asked, I should say Emmy told me Daddy wanted her, but I didn't see where she went. He said Mommy would be very sad and I needed to be a good girl and help Mommy feel better." Morrison asked when Michael had told her not to talk about what she saw. Lily said it was later that day, after the police came. Michael had taken her inside to her room and explained very seriously that she must never tell what she saw. He said Emmy was safe but had to be away from them. He said if Lily told, Emmy might never come home. Jennifer sat in the therapist's office, her face pale, her hands shaking. 4 years. 4 years of doubting herself, of wondering, of living with suspicion and guilt. And her daughter had known. Her daughter had witnessed what happened and had been carrying this secret, traumatized into silence by her own father. Morrison contacted the prosecutor's office that same day. An emergency meeting was held with the county prosecutor, the state police, and FBI agents who had remained peripherally involved in the case. Lily's statement was reviewed. The question became, was testimony from an 8-year-old about events that occurred when she was 4 years old sufficient to obtain an arrest warrant? The prosecutor, James Davidson, was cautious. Defense attorneys would argue the memory was unreliable, potentially implanted by therapy or influenced by the divorce. But combined with the circumstantial evidence, Michael's opportunity, his suspicious behavior afterward, his lack of emotional response, his cleaning of potential evidence, there might be enough for probable cause. Additional investigation was ordered. Detectives re-interviewed everyone involved in the original case. They obtained new warrants for Michael's financial records, looking for unusual purchases or transactions around October 11, 2003. They found nothing significant. They re-examined his truck, now 4 years older but still in his possession. Again, nothing. They brought in cadaver dogs to search the property one more time, focusing on areas Michael would have had access to. The dogs alerted in 3 places: a section of the cornfield about 200 yards from the house, an area near an old drainage ditch half a mile away, and a spot in the woods 3 miles from the Holloway property. Excavation at these sites yielded nothing. If Emma had been there, she had been moved. Detectives also investigated whether Michael had access to any other properties. His family owned a small cabin near Brown County State Park, about 40 miles away. The cabin sat on 10 acres of wooded land. Michael had inherited partial ownership when his father died in 2002. Records showed Michael had visited the cabin the weekend after Emma disappeared, ostensibly to close it up for winter. Detectives obtained a warrant to search the property. On September 27, 2007, investigators descended on the cabin. Cadaver dogs alerted near an old well at the edge of the property. The well had been capped and filled years ago but could be excavated. Over 3 days, workers carefully removed dirt and debris. 8 feet down, they found a child's shoe, a white sneaker, size 12, matching the description of what Emma had been wearing. Further excavation revealed fragments of purple fabric. Then, wrapped in a tarp and buried 9 feet deep, they found Emma Grace Holloway. She had been there for 4 years in the darkness, while her mother searched and her sister kept silent and her father continued his life as if nothing had happened. Medical examination confirmed the remains were Emma's. Cause of death was determined to be asphyxiation, though the exact circumstances could not be determined after 4 years. She had not been harmed in any other way. That small mercy offered no real comfort. On October 2, 2007, Detective Morrison and 4 state police officers arrested Michael Holloway at the hardware store. Customers watched as he was led out in handcuffs. He said nothing. His face remained expressionless, the same calm mask he had worn for 4 years. The arrest made national news. Small-town hardware store owner charged with taking his daughter's life. The community of Delphi was shaken to its foundation. Those who had known Michael their entire lives struggled to reconcile the quiet, reliable man they thought they knew with the person who could do such a thing. Some refused to believe it. Others said they had always felt something was off, though these claims came only after the arrest. Jennifer gave a statement to the press, standing outside the Carroll County Courthouse, her mother beside her for support. "I want to thank the investigators who never gave up on Emma," she said, her voice breaking. "I want to thank Dr. Chen for creating a safe space for my daughter to finally speak. And I want other families to know that you should always trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, keep pushing. Keep asking questions. Keep searching for truth." The trial began in March 2008. Michael pleaded not guilty, claiming he had no knowledge of how Emma's remains came to be at the family cabin. His defense attorneys argued that Lily's testimony was unreliable, the product of a child's confused memories, and possibly influenced by the divorce and custody dispute. They suggested someone else had access to the cabin and had placed Emma's body there to frame Michael. The prosecution presented the circumstantial evidence methodically. Michael's opportunity and motive, his suspicious behavior after Emma's disappearance, the clean truck and washed clothes, his lack of emotional response, his knowledge of the cabin and access to it, the fact that he had visited the cabin the weekend after Emma vanished, claiming he was winterizing it, though neighbors at nearby cabins reported seeing him carrying something large wrapped in a tarp. Then Lily testified. Now 9 years old, she sat in the witness box and calmly described what she had seen that October morning in 2003. Her father walking from the garage, kneeling down to talk to Emma, the two of them walking into the field, her father returning alone, his instructions to her to never tell what she had seen. Defense attorneys cross-examined her aggressively, trying to shake her testimony. Had her therapist suggested these memories? Had her mother coached her? Lily remained consistent. "I know what I saw," she said quietly. "I saw my daddy take my sister and I never saw her again." The jury deliberated for 6 hours. On March 28, 2008, they returned a verdict of guilty on charges of taking a life in the second degree. Michael showed no reaction as the verdict was read. Jennifer sobbed quietly in the gallery, her mother's arms around her. At sentencing, Michael was finally given the opportunity to speak. Everyone expected him to maintain his innocence or to apologize or to explain. Instead, he said simply, "I have nothing to say." He was sentenced to 55 years in prison without possibility of parole. The courtroom erupted. Some people shouted, others cried. Jennifer sat motionless, staring at the man she had married, the father of her children, trying to understand how she had shared a life with someone capable of such darkness. She would never get a satisfactory answer. Michael never explained why he had done it. He never showed remorse. He never asked for forgiveness. Those who have followed cases like this understand that sometimes there are no satisfying explanations. Some people are simply capable of things the rest of us cannot comprehend. They hide in plain sight, behind ordinary faces and ordinary lives, and we never see what they truly are until it's too late. Closing. Emma Grace Holloway was laid to rest on April 5, 2008 in Delphi Cemetery under an oak tree that blooms white flowers each spring. Her headstone is simple. It bears her name, her dates, and a single line. Forever 7, forever loved. Jennifer and Lily visit regularly, bringing fresh flowers, sitting on the grass, talking to Emma about their lives, about school, about everything she missed and will always miss. The case changed Delphi forever. It shattered the illusion of safety that small towns hold dear. It reminded everyone that danger doesn't always come from strangers in dark alleys. Sometimes it sits across from you at breakfast. Sometimes it sleeps in the next room. Sometimes it wears a familiar face and a reassuring smile. Michael Holloway remains in the Indiana State Prison. He has never given a full confession. He has never explained his motives. Jennifer has moved on with her life as best she can. She remarried in 2012 to a kind man who treats Lily like his own daughter. They had another child, a son, in 2013. Life continues, though the shadow of what happened will never fully lift. Lily, now in her 20s, has become an advocate for child witnesses, speaking at conferences about the importance of creating safe spaces for children to tell their truth. She has said publicly that she wishes she had been brave enough to speak sooner, though everyone assures her she was a victim too, a child traumatized into silence. For those who knew Emma, for those who searched for her, for those who never stopped believing the truth would emerge, the resolution brought a painful kind of closure. Justice was served, though it came too late to save a child who should have been safe in her own backyard. The case stands as a reminder that we must listen to children, trust our instincts, and never accept simple answers when something feels profoundly wrong. If this story mattered to you, subscribe and hit the bell. Share the episode. Someone somewhere may still be waiting to be heard.